Let's jump to the story from the New York Post, where it gets a lot worse. Border czar Tom Homan accuses FBI of leaking information about ICE raids, lives at risk. Kristi Noem made a similar comment, pointing out that information was leaked to the LA Times about raids that were going to be happening all over this country. Tom Homan pointed out that if this information gets out, there's going to be some criminal, a gang member, a cartel member, who's concerned about getting caught lying in wait, and when the law enforcement shows up, they get ambushed. Now, this is where it gets crazy. Tom Homan said that they've narrowed it down. They think they know who it is, and there's going to be an arrest. So they're going to go after the leakers in the FBI. But in the previous segment, we were talking about Democrats, largely in California, but there's many states that are doing it, that are violating the law. That's Title 8 U.S. Code 1324, Section A, subsection 4, encouragement and inducement of illegal immigration. California provides free healthcare to illegal immigrants. I would call that inducement.
Yep.
They refuse to deport or cooperate with law enforcement. They use the illegal immigrants to bolster their census numbers so they get more congressional seats, more electoral votes. You have an inside job.
Yes.
States violating the law for power, and at the federal level, leaking information to aid and abet those states and the people who have broken the law illegally entering the country and those that would help them. The question we asked in the previous segment was, will the DOJ have the gall to go after these states for doing this? When Tom Homan says they're going after the FBI, it's actually a terrifying prospect if you think about it. This means you have rogue states. We've known this. And you have rogue FBI. We've known this. What happens when the DOJ starts going after arresting FBI agents, state officials, people who are within our state government and federal government who are actively trying to cause harm to this country? I think you have the makings for a very serious constitutional crisis and potential intrastate conflict.
I mean, so what's going on here, if I understand this, is that FBI agents are leaking information about ICE raids to information that's ending up in the hands of not only illegal immigrants, but gangs who get the heads up that ICE is coming in and then can flee. I mean, that has got to be a violation or worse. I mean, it's got to be a violation of every duty that the FBI holds. I would also say probably a violation of their actual security clearances, because this is information that is classified information that they are leaking. And they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, as anybody who holds security clearance and violates that clearance has been and should be.
Well, I don't know about anybody that's had that clearance and violated it.
Let's talk about that. That'd be interesting.
But I do think that in this context, it's undeniable. If those things have happened, if the FBI is leaking about ICE raids and stuff. I think that is ample evidence that we need people like Kash Patel, people that are outside of the bureaucracy going into these organizations and looking for the people that are not on board with the administration. There's a lot of people that are up in arms about Elon Musk, and the thing they say over and over is he's not elected. He's not elected. There's only 435 members of Congress, 100 senators, and 1 president. That's 536 elected representatives. That's it. Like in the federal government. Everybody else, all the other millions and millions of people that work for the federal government, they're all appointed. None of them are elected. So this idea that an unelected person, going in and trying to fix the problems of other unelected people is beyond the pale is ridiculous. The president needs to have the authority to fire people. And this is something that I'm not sure if we're actually going to talk about it, but it's something that will come up in the future, because there's a lot of judges that are blocking things that the president has said, as executive orders he's made. And the argument is, well, the president doesn't have the authority to do that. The president doesn't have the authority. And essentially what they're saying is, if the president is of the opposing political party, he has no authority and will use the judiciary to prevent him from doing anything we don't like. I mean, there's a list, I have it, of specific things that have been blocked so far.
We're definitely going to talk about that because the judge is being impeached.
Good, but
the impeachment, the articles of impeachment are being filed.
Good. That's important because we need to be able to fix like the problems at the FBI. If this is the case, if the president can't,
you want me to just say it, Phil?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to say what we're talking about when you have states defying federal law, cheating the Constitution, FBI agents opposing the executive administration, and judges going rogue to shut down executive authority.
It's been a long time. Give it to me.
Civil War!
That was my first time on the show. You're getting it. All right.
It's been a while. But it's back, baby. Civil War is back on the table, or at least on the podcast. Right. But you're not wrong. Like how and thankfully we do have, and this is something that I said a couple months ago when we were talking about these possible problems. I would prefer there to be some kind of conflict like this when the party that I prefer has the levers of power than when the other party has the levers of power. So if there's going to be, if the Democrats want to be like, oh, well, we're going to go ahead and resist, et cetera, and want to do all that stuff, fine. Then we'll go ahead and allow the executive to do executive things. Send the FBI to go ahead and pick up the people that are not following the rules and put them in front of the jury, in front of the courts.
Them.
I would love it.
Right, and this is the crazy thing. Trump, what are the moves he's made? He said, we're going to put you on leave. And they said, no. He's not even firing me. He says, we're going to keep paying you, but you're just not going to be here. And they're like, nope. So and this is what they did during Trump's first term, but this time he's not playing around. They've repeatedly tried to act like the president has no authority at all, as if the president himself is a ceremonial position. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Now, we will get into more of that, of course. To go back to the immigration thing, we'll center this around, like, what we're talking about now, law enforcement at the federal level that has been aiding and abetting criminals. And I got questions, because certainly we can look at what Tom Homan said. According to the story, he told Fox News, Hannity, some of the information we are receiving tends to lead toward the FBI, saying they're quite certain it's coming from inside the FBI. He said he's been promised not only will the person lose their job and pension, but they will go to jail. I'm glad to hear it. But I got questions for Tom. There were CBP agents that were facilitating child trafficking.
Yeah.
We going to forget that?
No.
Is the argument that because Biden told them to do it, we're okay with that? I'm not okay with that. So I don't know how far any of these people are willing to go, but I'll tell you likely what I see happening. Tom Homan, Trump, they're going to say, if we've got cogs in a machine that are the banality of evil, but they're going to do their job now as we go against, they're going to let these guys go. The CBP agents that were bringing these children in knowing that they were being trafficked into sex slavery, they're not going to see any charges. And the argument is going to be, they're just doing their job and we need their assistance and we don't want to lose these officers and things like that. I don't accept that. But I don't think Trump or Homan or anybody else is going to actually take action against them.
I think they'll take Homan is definitely the right guy for the job because he works for the Border Patrol Agency, and then he worked as an assistant special agent for immigration for ICE, and he's made his way up. He is tough as nails. He's hardcore, and if he would go after people today, I can see him. To answer your question, Tim, yes, he will do that. But I don't see. I'm really worried about him going back and not taking all the agents who did facilitate all the child traffic sex working.
But let me say something. I think it's going to be controversial with this audience. But look, I think I agree with everything you said. But there should be some legal consistency, right? I mean. FBI agents violating their clearances, providing classified information to drug cartels to give them the heads up that ICE is coming in is beyond the pale, immoral, and illegal. But the guy named Snowden, who had high security clearance, the highest security clearance in the land, instead of going to the Inspector General of the CIA and saying, I believe there's illegal activity taking place that violates America's constitutional rights, decides on his own accord to leak highly classified information to the press, putting people's lives in jeopardy. And there are people, I think, who want to see Donald Trump issue a pardon of Snowden or think that he was, illegally convicted in the first place. I mean, I believe at the end of the day...
Was he convicted, actually? I don't know if they held a trial or anything for him.
Well, he certainly. He should be put on trial. I think that. We'll see what the evidence points to. He says a presumption of innocence. But at the end of the day, if it's shown that he violated his security clearance and he leaked information that he was not allowed to leak. No, it's no different than FBI agents leaking information about ICE raids.
I agree.
Putting lives at risk.
And I think a lot of people watch the show completely agree, because we've talked about this before. I'm not here to give you, there's a lot of people who are going to say, I hate the U.S. government, or I think they're corrupt, therefore what Snowden did was good. I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to talk to you about what is and what is not. Snowden is not a whistleblower. He is a leaker. There's a difference. Bradley, a.k.a. Chelsea Manning, is a whistleblower, not a leaker. There's a difference. The difference is when it came to Bradley Manning at the time, releasing information on specific actions. Blowing the whistle is saying this one thing that happened was illegal and people need to know this illegal thing happened. Now, that's a broad definition of whistleblower. Some might prefer that you go through the official channels of saying, I have uncovered something illegal. But when you're dealing with superiors or whatever, and I'm not saying this is exactly what happened, but it's not so easy to do. If a person goes to the press and says, I've uncovered a direct action that is illegal and needs to be revealed, you're blowing the whistle. That's not what Snowden did. Snowden found a handful of programs, X-Keyscore being one notable example. There was spying going on. So did Edward Snowden then take that program individually, go to the press and say, look at this one thing that is illegal? No. Snowden took tens of thousands of documents without checking any of them or redacting any of them and leaked them to a bunch of different news organizations, in which Snowden admitted this in an interview, saying, perhaps I should have actually gone through them. And so there's a big difference between being a leaker and a whistleblower. Certainly, I can say I am glad to an extent Snowden revealed information on NSA spying and these illegal programs. That's good. We learned about it, but it was done horribly. It was done horribly. This is going on over 10 years ago, when one of the documents that got released, just one, but it happened on many occasions. I don't think anyone lost their lives, but the identity of a U.S. operative was compromised in the leaking of this information without redaction. Snowden was challenged on it, and Snowden said, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. And it's like, right, well, you did wrong. You did wrong. Okay, so I can accept the good, but say it was still done improperly, and there's got to be some penalty for it. However, I will add, at this point, I don't know. I think we're so far past it with the Snowden, Assange, with the Manning stuff, where it's just like, I'm not going to sit here and try and litigate the past. I don't want to go backwards. And I know sometimes you have to, depends on the severity. In this case, I don't know that we are served by prioritizing that. There's a lot of other things that I want to prioritize. I'm not saying necessarily give them a blanket pardon, bring them home, and give them a ticker tape parade. Maybe we just say we've got bigger fish to fry right now, and we can acknowledge there was wrongdoing in that regard. But instead of ranting on all of that, because I can go in a million years on all that stuff.
Can that be said? I mean, I agree about going back to the past when it comes to the Border Patrol agents, but that's
different.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Can that be
this
said?
is the point. Edward Snowden leaking information from several administrations ago, of which it included some illegal activity but was done improperly, is not child trafficking.
Correct.
So I don't think this is my moral line. Edward Snowden did something wrong. There was some good in it. The CBP agents did nothing good. Children were coming off with numbers on their arms to child sex traffickers, and they were like, oh, well, Biden told me to do it. And I'm like, Edward Snowden being doofy and being like, well, I'm just going to leak all these documents is a more of a banality of evil, but some good was in it. It's more nuanced. I'm not happy with the way he did it. I have no problem saying he is a leaker and not a whistleblower, because people keep trying to say he's a whistleblower. They try to compare Snowden with Assange. Assange was a journalist. Assange was getting documents from sources, redacting information where need be, and publishing it. Don't compare the two. Snowden did bad things. He did wrong, but there was some good in it. There is a moral line in that CBP knew children were coming across the border, had numbers on their arms to sell them into slavery, sex slavery, and they went, oh, well. There was no good but being done there, and I will take no statute of limitations on that. Snowden, I'm just kind of like, I don't care at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people might say we can't allow these kinds of leaks to happen. You made a good point. Look, the FBI is leaking information. They think they're doing the right thing. We know it's not. It's bad for this country. So perhaps we need to say to Snowden, like, look, you leaked, and if we're going to hold them to the same standard, you will get held to it as well. The penalty probably wouldn't be too severe, so maybe fine. But for those CBP agents, for this FBI agent, I'm like, compromising national security, aiding and abetting cartels, drug smugglers, fentanyl, all of that stuff. I don't tolerate that. That is killing people. One is administrative, bureaucratic, high-level national security stuff, which is scary. And one is directly eroding and ripping the country apart at the base level. And I don't know, man. Look, the child stuff with the CBP, I think, is just like, no way. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.